My name is Hannah Walker. I'm 34, and I've always been the one who shows up, fixes things, and quietly absorbs the chaos my family leaves behind. My children, Max, 9, and Liza, 6, are my little worlds, loud and unfiltered, alive in a way that sometimes drives me crazy, but always makes me smile. I had been planning a luxurious cruise for months, every detail meticulously arranged. VIP cabins, excursions, dining reservations, everything designed to give the kids a carefree adventure while I got a much-needed break. The kind of vacation I wanted them to remember forever, while also allowing myself the rare indulgence of knowing everything was perfect. As I wiped my hands on the kitchen towel, I glanced at the clock. 6:47 p.m. Any moment now, my father and stepmother would arrive, uninvited, as always. From the other room, I could hear the kids laughing, arguing, creating their own little chaos. My stepmother, Vivian, had always despised that kind of noise. "You've spoiled them," I could hear her voice echoing in my memory from our last argument days ago. "Mom, are we really going on the cruise?" Liza asked, bouncing on her heels. "Grandma said it's going to be amazing," Max chimed in. I smiled, tucking a loose curl behind Liza's ear. "Of course, sweetie. Just a few more days, and you'll be on that big ship eating ice cream every day. It's going to be incredible." The front door opened without a knock. Vivian's voice slithered through the house. "Hello, darling." Saccharine. Insincere. My father followed silently, as usual, a ghostly presence who never interfered. I forced a polite smile, telling myself, "Not today, Hannah. Don't start anything today." "Good timing," I said lightly. I was just about to finalize the cruise details. Vivian's slow, calculated smile made my stomach twist. "Oh, about that," she said, draping her coat over the chair like it was a casual announcement. "We had to make a little change." I froze, my fingers tightening around the counter. What change? She sat down, crossing her legs elegantly, like she was discussing dinner plans, not the life I had meticulously organized for my children. "We decided your sister's kids would benefit from this trip more." Silence. My brain refused to process the words. "Excuse me?" I said, voice tight. Vivian sighed, as if I were the unreasonable one. "Well, after our little disagreement the other day, I realized your kids don't really deserve this trip. They're too undisciplined, too much work, and honestly, I thought it would be a good lesson for you. You need to learn how to raise them properly." A flashback hit me like a slap. 3 nights ago, dinner at my father's house. "Max, Liza, sit down properly," Vivian snapped, glaring at my son, who had simply reached for the breadbasket. "They're just excited," I said softly, trying to keep the peace. "Excited? They're uncontrollable. Look at them." She snapped her perfectly manicured fingers, tightening around her wine glass. "You've raised them like wild animals. No respect, no discipline." I clenched my jaw, my patience thinning. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. You let them do whatever they want. They need structure, rules. Your sister's kids? They are well behaved. Polite. Maybe because they're terrified of their mother." Her eyes flashed at my muttered words. "I don't expect you to understand, but I won't pretend your parenting isn't a disaster." I forced a deep breath. My father remained silent, staring at his plate, as he always did. And now, Vivian was enjoying the moment she'd been waiting for. Her power play, a lesson in control. A cold rage spread through me, but I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I reached for my phone, calmly, steadily. "Oh," I said lightly, voice serene. "That won't be a problem at all." With a few swipes, I canceled everything. Every ticket, every suite, every excursion. Gone. Vivian's smile faltered. What are you doing?" I slipped my phone back into my pocket, meeting her gaze evenly. Problem solved. The silence stretched like a taut bowstring. Vivian blinked, trying to process what had just happened. My father shifted uncomfortably. "You canceled everything?" he asked softly. "Yes," I said, "and I'm perfectly okay with losing the money." I laughed shortly, the sound cold, detached. "Don't worry, I'm getting a full refund." Vivian's eyes widened. "You're being childish," she hissed. "Am I?" I cocked my head. Someone else changed plans without asking, decided my kids didn't deserve to go, and no one said a word. Now, no one goes. Her expression darkened, fury barely contained. "You had no right." "No," I cut in. "You had no right to treat my children like they are less than your golden grandchildren. You thought you could teach me a lesson. Well, here's one for you. You don't get to make decisions about my generosity. Her nostrils flared. She turned to my father, expecting him to intervene. For once, he hesitated. For the first time in years, I felt the weight of control shift. I had taken my stand, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. That night, as I tucked Max and Liza into bed, I realized this wasn't just about a cruise. It was about boundaries, respect, and protecting my family. And if it meant standing up to Vivian and the rest of them, so be it. The knock on my door came sharp and impatient, almost as if it were trying to punch through the wood. I hesitated, already dreading who it might be. But when I opened it, there she stood, Emily, my older sister, always perfect, always polished. Her blonde hair was in a sleek bun, makeup flawless, designer coat screaming money and entitlement. Are you serious? She snapped before I could even greet her. Nice to see you too, Emily, I said dryly, crossing my arms. She shoved past me, heels clicking aggressively against the hardwood as she stormed into my living room. Why the hell would you do that? She demanded, turning to face me. Her eyes blazed with a mix of anger and disbelief. Do what? I leaned casually against the doorframe, adopting the same cold calm that had unnerved Vivian earlier. Cancel the trip, she hissed, as though the words themselves were a personal attack on her existence. Oh, you mean the trip I paid for? That one? I raised an eyebrow, my voice calm, almost teasing. Oh, don't start with that, she groaned, pacing the room like a storm about to break. Mom said you overreacted. You know how she is. She didn't mean anything by it. I laughed, soft and sharp, letting the sound cut the tension like glass. Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. What's so funny? She demanded. You standing here acting like this is some tiny misunderstanding, like I should just accept it and move on. Just because you and Mom are panicking doesn't mean I have to. Emily huffed, clearly trying to control her temper. It's just a vacation, Hannah. For God's sake, just fix it. Don't turn this into a family war. I tilted my head, letting a slow, cold grin spread across my face. Too late. Her jaw clenched, her panic starting to show. You know what? Forget it, she snapped, reaching for the door. I stopped her with a deliberate calm, leaning closer. By the way, Emily. I let the words hang, sweet and sharp. What now? She demanded, already on edge. I smiled slowly, coldly. Since you're here, you can let Mom know she'll be paying for the non-refundable deposits. Real panic flickered across her face. Wait, what deposits? Oh, you didn't think everything was refundable, did you? I tilted my head innocently. The excursions, the VIP dinners, the upgraded suites, they were special requests I added just for the kids. And those? Non-refundable. Emily's mouth opened and then closed. How much? I grinned. 12,000. She froze, hand flying to her mouth. You're lying. Do you want to test that theory? I pulled up the confirmation emails on my phone and held them for her to see. Her hand dropped, face pale. Oh my God, Mom is going to lose it. I know, I said, enjoying every second of her shock. Next time she wants a free vacation, she can book it herself. Emily turned toward the door, fumbling with her phone. Wait until she hears about this, she muttered, already typing frantically. I added sweetly, Oh, tell her one more thing. She paused, glancing at me. What? Next time she wants a free vacation, she can pay for it herself. With that, I shut the door in her face. That night, as I tucked Max and Liza into bed, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not regret, not guilt. Relief. For the first time, I had set a boundary, a real, unshakable, and expensive boundary. And something told me this was only the beginning. The next morning, my phone erupted. Missed calls, texts, voicemails, Vivian, my father, Emily. Each one a tidal wave of panic, outrage, and entitlement. I let them go to voicemail. For now, I needed space. But finally I sighed, unlocking my phone. Dad was calling. I hesitated, then answered. Hi, sweetheart, his voice tired, heavy, as if he had aged 10 years overnight. Hannah, can we talk? I pinched the bridge of my nose. Yes, we can. Let's be clear. Canceling the entire trip was necessary. Vivian removed my kids from a vacation I paid for without asking me. What exactly did you think would happen? There was a long pause. I just think maybe you overreacted, he said softly, almost apologetically. Overreacted? I repeated slowly, my tone dangerous in its calm. Dad, if someone had done that to Emily's kids, would you still call it overreacting? Another pause. That's not the point. Yes, it is. You've spent years letting her walk all over me. You always say you don't want to get involved, but what that really means is you don't want to stand up to her. He exhaled shakily, a sound I had rarely heard, the weight of truth finally settling. Vivian. She just wanted what's best for the family. I laughed, low and bitter. No, Dad. She wanted what's best for her version of the family. One where I'm just a wallet and nothing more. One where my kids are invisible if they inconvenience her golden grandkids. He didn't respond. So let me make this easy, I said, voice ice. I'm done. Done paying for things. Done being the family's problem solver. If she wants a vacation, she can book it herself. If Emily's kids need a trip, they can pay for it. This ends now. Silence stretched between us. Then, quietly, he said something I hadn't heard in decades. I don't know how to fix this. You don't, I replied softly, almost tenderly. You're 20 years too late. I hung up, and for a few hours, blissful quiet enveloped me. No calls, no messages. Max and Liza and I had a late breakfast together, went to the park, played, laughed, and for the first time in years, the outside world didn't exist. But I knew it was temporary. Vivian wouldn't let this go quietly. Sure enough, at exactly 3:14 p.m., the doorbell rang. Loud, impatient, demanding. I didn't move at first, letting the sound echo through the house, knowing she expected me to run. Finally, I got up and opened the door. There she was. Vivian, her hair still immaculate, but the edges of her carefully curated facade showing cracks. Her eyes burned with pure fury. We need to talk, she said, hands on her hips, voice tight with barely contained rage. I really don't think we do, I said casually, arms crossed. She stepped inside anyway, as she always did, her presence filling the room like a storm. What the hell is wrong with you? I smirked, calm. Be more specific. You ruined the trip. Do you have any idea what you've done? Oh, I have a pretty good idea, I replied evenly, tilting my head. Your panic, Emily's outrage, Dad's heartbreak, and me, I'm perfectly fine. Her face twisted. You're unbelievable. I always knew you were selfish, but this is a new level. I sighed theatrically, and yet somehow I'll survive. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You need to fix this. I smiled slowly, coldly. No. Her nostrils flared. You don't get to say no. Oh, but I do, I shrugged, calm as a glacier. And I just did. She sputtered, face red. You can't just... I took a measured step forward, watching her recoil for the first time. This, I said softly, is what happens when you push someone too far. Her breathing was heavy, hands trembling. You think you won? Yes, I said. The moment you decided my kids weren't good enough, it was over, and it still is. Her jaw tightened, but she said nothing. I smiled, walking to the door. Bye, Mom. Her eyes flared. She hated when I called her that like this, tone dripping with sarcasm, stripping the word of all warmth. She stormed out, and this time I locked the door behind her. That night, as I tucked Max and Liza into bed, Liza looked up, frowning. Mommy, did we do something bad? Is that why we're not going on the trip? My chest tightened. I brushed her hair back gently. No, baby, you didn't do anything wrong. She nodded slowly, hugging her stuffed bear. I stood there, watching them sleep, feeling a shift inside me. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about protecting them. And if that meant burning every last bridge to keep them safe from this family, then so be it. For the first time in my life, the silence after a family fight felt peaceful. I had said no, and I meant it. Later that night, curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, I let the chaos of the day settle into clarity. The storm with Vivian and Emily was far from over, but for the first time, I felt a sense of control. Years of being trampled, manipulated, and dismissed had honed my instincts. I wasn't just reacting anymore, I was planning. 2 months earlier, my coworker Ryan had noticed my anxiety while I booked the cruise. That's a lot of money, he said, eyebrows raised. I know, I muttered. It's for the kids, but Vivian, Emily, I don't trust them to play fair. Ryan shrugged. Then protect yourself. Get something in writing, a contract. Make it official. If they break the agreement, they owe you. A simple idea, but brilliant. A contract could legally bind them to responsibility, even if it wasn't a huge sum. I filed the thought away, and now, after the cruise fiasco, it was perfect. I opened my laptop, scanning my emails until I found the fully executed contract. With a few clicks, I forwarded it directly to Emily. Her call came almost immediately. What is this? She screeched before I could even say hello. I leaned back, calm, poised. That, dear sister, is a legally binding agreement. You can't be serious? Oh, I am, I said lightly. You actually made Mom pay for the cruise. She agreed to my terms when she let me cover the trip. Now she's in breach of that contract, so yes, she owes me. Silence. Emily whispered, almost defeated. Mom is going to lose her mind. She should have thought of that before screwing me over. I smiled faintly. Exactly. She tried to negotiate, panic edging into her voice. Okay, maybe we can work something out. Mom can pay you in installments. Or... No, I said, voice sharp. No, I'm done playing by their rules. Mom manipulates. She twists. She does whatever she wants. You and Dad enable her. Not anymore. She owes me, and she will pay. Emily was silent. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. You're serious? She muttered finally. Dead serious, I replied. And if she pushes, yes, I will take action. Legally, financially, whatever it takes. I am done pretending this family isn't broken. I hung up, leaning back into the couch. The adrenaline had drained, leaving a strange sense of peace. For the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was proactive. Outside, the storm raged as expected. Calls, messages, frantic attempts at negotiation. But inside my home, Max and Liza slept peacefully. And for the first time, I felt a clear line drawn between them and the chaos of my family. This wasn't just about a cruise, it was about boundaries, respect, and finally, justice in a family that had never known it. The next morning, my phone vibrated incessantly. Vivian, Dad, Emily, all desperate, all furious, all trying to regain control. I let them go to voicemail. For once, I wasn't rushing to soothe their outrage. I poured coffee, watched Max and Liza play in the living room, and let the storm build outside while calm reigned inside. Finally, I answered Emily. What now? I asked, knowing full well. This is insane, she said, voice trembling. Mom, she's losing it. She says you can't do this. You can't make her pay. I tilted my head, coldly amused. Oh, she can. She signed a legally binding contract. Every non-refundable deposit, every VIP excursion, she owes. And if she refuses, I take action. Simple. Emily paused, realization dawning. You're actually serious. Dead serious, I said. And for once, I'm not compromising. Not for anyone. Not for Mom, not for you, not even for Dad. The line went silent. Then she muttered, almost quietly, She's going to hate you. I know, I said, voice calm, almost gentle. And I don't care. I finally have a choice, and I made it. By mid-afternoon, Dad called. His voice was quieter, strained. Hannah, I don't know what to do, he admitted, for the first time fully vulnerable. Dad, you let this go on for years, I said softly, yet firmly. This isn't about the cruise. It's about boundaries, respect, and finally standing up for my kids. I'm done letting them manipulate us. You can't fix this. You're 20 years too late. There was a long silence, then he said something that surprised me. I see that now. That acknowledgement, however small, was enough. For once, I didn't need his validation. My focus was on protecting my children and reclaiming my power. By evening, the fallout had settled. Vivian was furious, but with the contract in hand, she couldn't retaliate without legal consequences. Emily had retreated, powerless for once, and I, for the first time in decades, felt vindicated, free, and in control. As I tucked Max and Liza into bed, their faces peaceful, I realized something profound. I had won. Not through anger or revenge, but by setting boundaries, asserting control, and protecting the people I love. Liza looked up at me, her small face serious. Mommy, does this mean we're safe now? I brushed her hair back and smiled. Yes, sweetheart. Safe, always. For the first time in years, I slept that night without dread. The family storm raged on outside, but inside my home, calm reigned. I had drawn the line, and no one could cross it. This was more than a victory over Vivian or Emily. This was a victory for myself, for my kids, for every moment I had sacrificed to appease a family that never deserved my silence. I knew the battles weren't over forever, but for now, the war was won. And the feeling of peace, of finally having control, was priceless.